Okay, so there's okay, so I would like to just jump directly, boom, head first into this. And I think that there is a serious epidemic. I think that there is a serious problem with people overplaying their role and position in life in general, like in their own lives and in other people's lives. I think that this is a huge problem on both ends, on the receiving end and on the giving end. Okay? It just appears to me that, you know, people will do the most not in favor of you, but more so in favor of themselves. They do it under the guise of, well, it's for you. I did it for you. Look at all I've done for you. But the truth is that they're really trying to make themselves fulfilled and themselves look better, or get that get that returned in kind. Now, mind you, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. Actually, relationships, the dynamic of a healthy relationship should be give and take, and you would want things to be equal, right? But here's the problem with that. And I've said this for quite a few years now when the realization came to me. Sorry, y'all. I'm actually just getting home from the gym. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Let me see. It's 1:23, and yeah, I had some late night thoughts. Cat, shut up. I'm trying to film. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh, that, people will overextend themselves in the name of, well, I did it for you. You asked me for this, but look at how I went above and beyond, right? People don't only do that in their relationships. What I was saying, that in a healthy relationship, you would, on paper, it would seem that a healthy relationship would consist of both parties giving and taking equally, and that is the recycle of the dynamic, right? What, like I said, whether it's a personal, romantic, professional, whatever this relationship is, right? You would imagine, like I said, on paper, it seems that the give and take would be equal, right? Because that's fair. But here's what I've learned about that. Equal does not equate to fairness, and fairness does not equate to equality. Something does not have to be equal for it to be fair, and sometimes it being equal does not make it fair. It actually makes it unfair. Look at all of the things that politicians are fighting about when it comes to our economic system, which I'm not going to get into because I don't know enough about it. I just know that some of the motto is, well, that's not, it's a lot of it's not fair economically if poor people, or if, I'm sorry, if rich people have to help out the poor people. But I don't know. I mean, it's, again, it just depends on how you look at it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is that I have learned in my life that equality doesn't equal fairness, because a lot of times I have been the more reliable or more stable or financially independent. So what I could bring to the table in those particular departments were not the same that the other person could bring. So if I were asking them to bring that to match me, it wouldn't necessarily be fair, because they could not fulfill that and still sustain the life that they needed to, right? Just to match me. So it wouldn't necessarily be fair for us to be equal. But it can be fair if that person, maybe you can't match me in those particular departments, but let's say you are very well knowledgeable about a particular topic that has value to me. Like, let's say for me, let's say fitness, right? Or nutrition. A lot of personal trainers don't be doing that well. Maybe these pop-in like internet ones, but like, traditional trainers, it's based on your clientele, consistency, things like that. So, and that takes time to build. So let's say if you were a person that came in and you were a personal trainer, nutritionist, and but I do what I do and I make more money than you, but the value that you bring to me is greater in the information and the guidance that you provide me in that field, because it pushes me and it levels me up. So I don't really care that you can't match me financially because you bring me this other value. So even though what we're bringing is not equal, it's still fair because we still are fulfilled, right? So that's what I mean. And it can also work in the opposite. It can also work in where, if it were the same thing, where let's say I was more financially independent, which has typically been my pattern. So that's why I think I'm like using that as the example, because that typically is that I will tend to get into relationships or situationships or whatever ships with people, whether it's even friendships, okay? Some type of dynamic where, dual dynamic, where the person is not as stable as me. Not to say, listen, I'm not like the most fucking stable person out here. I'm not trying to paint no picture of a life that I'm living that I'm not living, okay? I live well within my means. And but that will sometimes be how it is like, okay, I have more financial security and they don't, but they expect to still be treated as if they can match that. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to treat you like shit, but know your place and know your role and don't overplay it, which brings like to the core topic of people overplaying their position when it's not needed. If you play your position, your particular position really, really well, you won't need to be an overachiever in something that you weren't hired to do, right? If you get hired for an entry-level burger flipping position and you flip the fuck out of those burgers and you are known on your shift as the best burger flipping motherfucker in there, matter of fact, the whole restaurant knows on any shift, you the one that's flipping the most burgers with the most quality and everybody love them, a burger never gets sent back, you are fucking SpongeBob in this bitch, right? Best fry cook of all time. Now let's say one day you're like, all right, I've been flipping these burgers real good, but I think I'm kind of coasting on the burger situation, so I'm gonna start going to take the drive-through orders too in between burger flipping. All right, so now you go over there and you taking orders, but hey, that order took a little bit longer than you calculated in your head, and now your burger is burnt on one side. So you've now lowered your quality as the burger flipper because you tried to come and play drive-through cashier when no one asked you to do that. That's not one of your qualifications, and that's not where you excel, and it's not even what it's in your pay bracket to do. So don't overplay your position doing something that you were never asked to do. And people do this constantly. People do this in their, like I said, in their personal dynamics, where you have people who, all right, if I ask you, let's say I don't have my car that day. I say, yo, I'm not gonna have my car. I need you to pick me up from the gym so I can get to the kids' school at this time to pick them up. All right? And that's what my request to you is. And you say, okay, yes, I'll be there to pick you up. Now, let's say you're running a little bit hot. You're running a little bit behind. Maybe you run into a little bit of traffic, whatever, right? And you take it upon yourself to say, you know what? I'm closer to the school. I'm going to beeline to get the kids and take that off her hands. She doesn't even have to worry about that now. And then I'll go pick her up. You know, it's okay. Better her wait than the kids wait, right? Let's say you play the scenario in your head that, in theory, on paper, might sound great, right? But now you get to the school. Oh, fuck. I'm not on the pickup list. Damn. All right, but I didn't know that. So now they're stopping me while I'm in this pickup line, and they don't recognize this car. And now I've held up the whole pickup line because the school has to call. And so now you've added a whole 20-minute inconvenience anyways in the process of doing that. Remember, no good deed. So now in doing that, let's say in doing something like that, now you've held up the pickup line and you've inconvenienced everyone in there, and you still left me waiting, and you still left the kids waiting. So, you know, double whammy, and it completely didn't go how you intended. Even though you had the best intentions, right, to be helpful. But now you come pick me up, and I'm like, bruh, why'd you do that? Now, this is not a real situation. I'm just giving y'all something that to me seems like, again, a scenario that is plausible. And you pick me up and you're like, and you know, oh, mind you, because let's say the school calls or something, and it's like, hey, I have so-and-so here to pick up your kids. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, I was going to be there, but okay. Then, you know, now you're here to pick me up, and I'm like, well, why didn't you just come get me? And we would have went to go pick up the kids like we planned. Oh, well, you know, I was closer there and I was running late, so I thought I'll just go get them, and, you know, I'll take care of that for you. You know, I was trying to be helpful, because that's always the undertone of it is, oh, well, I'm trying to be helpful, but nobody asked you to do that. I specifically asked you to come get me, so then we can go get the kids, because I didn't have my car. If you couldn't do that, you could have let me know, and I would have actually just got an Uber directly from where I'm from and went and picked up my kids. So you doing all this other stuff instead of doing what I originally requested actually ended up being less helpful, because you've now inconvenienced me, even if it's in a minor way. Again, this is not my personal situation, but this is just something that to me would seem, again, like something that's harmless. Oh, you're trying to help, and could be possibly something I could face, right? So that's what I mean about people deciding to take it upon themselves to put themselves in a debt with you, all because they decided to do something you never asked them to do. You never requested it. So now you have to either play the position of the bad guy for kind of coming down on them for overdoing it. But me, like a person like me, like, nah, I'm gonna let you know, like, you did the most and no one told you to do that. So then I'm okay with being the villain to a certain extent. I really am, like, because there's a certain age that you get to where you have to have a level of self-awareness and discernment of what the fuck is happening around you. And if you find yourself overextending yourself when even you know that it's an overextension, why would you do it? Are there very 1% circumstances where you may need to do that? Yeah, save it for those. Don't just be out here, you know, spreading yourself thin for the world. Do not let other people's urgency become your emergency, because people will do that to you. They'll have you running and racing and you know, all for something that really they wouldn't even do all that for. To be honest, they might have just let something go too far or let something run too late, whatever it is. You know, but beyond that, even like people do it at their jobs all the time. They get jobs, and I used to be that type of person. Like, I'm coming in, and again, I'm SpongeBob in this bitch, you know, I'm ready, and it's underappreciated. You remain underpaid, so you go doing all of these things that you were never hired to do, and then you wonder why you're exhausted, you're overworked, the position that you're hired to do, you're starting to lack in, all because, you know, I wanted to go tinker over here, and you know, and a lot of it comes with youthfulness and enthusiasm. But that's why I said it's at a certain age that you hit this realization, because the youthful mind is still very idealistic. We are not so realistic or even pessimistic yet. You know, you are still like you know, I seen this meme, and I have a lot of SpongeBob references because I grew up on SpongeBob, so, you know, 90s baby, hello. And there was this funniest meme that was like, before 25 or like before like 30 or something, we're all SpongeBob, and then after 30, we're all Squidward, you know? And there's some type of truth to it that when the reality of the world hits you, you realize you have to be probably less nice, less giving, more selfish, and there may be some negative connotation over that, but selfishness is okay to me. It's okay to, matter of fact, I quite enjoy telling people, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm not going there. Probably not. No, I'm okay on that. I'm good. Like there's actually a fulfillment. Like every time I don't pour into that, my cup stays full where it needs to be. Because trying to run on empty or run on fumes just isn't the lick no more. So those people who are overextending themselves and doing the most, I encourage you to like take a step back, look inward for a second and ask yourself, am I doing the most? It's okay, because once you realize you're doing the most, you can now do less, okay? People can't use you if you're useless. Remember that, okay? So, yeah, nothing in particular, no particular incident made me want to talk about this. I just think, or maybe it just wasn't that big of a deal. But now I didn't smoke that weed, so like my memory would be like, "Boop." But anyways, but none of that was like personal, you know, currently personal, but it is something that I personally dealt with on both ends, on the receiving end and on the giving end. And honestly, I might lean too left now to the latter, but it serves me better than I was like constantly being on the giving end of it, and I was always in debt to myself. That was no fun either. So that's it. That was just my late night ramble for the night, and you know, just a little food for thought for all of us. Yeah, take care. One other part that I feel compelled to add when it comes to this topic. So before I post the video, I actually came back and had to spin the block real quick. So the other problem to me with the people that are on the giving side of it is that, to me, there seems to be this victim complex that comes along with that when you on the receiving end, whether it's by request or by them just volunteering it, you again, how I said earlier, you play the villain, but in that they become the victim. And it seems to me like some people like to be put into that role, so it's almost like they do it intentionally, which is why I was saying, like, yes, there are some people where it's kind of just their personality and they can't really help it, but then there's people who do it with the intent where it's not necessarily wholesome, and it's not necessarily like selfless, you know. It's more so with the intent that they're expecting that at some point this is going to be reciprocated, which again, that's a natural and normal thought, and on paper that all sounds good, but you can't go above and beyond than what the other person has asked of you and then expect them to meet you there. Because remember what I was talking about when things can be fair but not equal? I'm a person that I try not to ask something of a person that I would not be able to do for myself. Now, listen to what I said. I try not to ask something of my partner or friend or whatever that I could not do for myself. Not that I'm not willing to do for them, but that I'm not going to do for myself. Because me, I'm admittedly more selfish in my later years, in these current years. So actually, there's things that, like, my partner in particular, that he tolerates that I would not tolerate, but he doesn't expect it of me to do the same, which is why it works. Because if he were to have the expectation, if he were to only be doing it for me with the expectation that I would do it for him, it wouldn't work, because you're not doing it genuinely. You're doing it conditionally, because you're expecting that same thing in return. Sorry, I'm trying to hold my flashlight because I don't have a light on right now. So that's when that gets sticky for me. So like, I'm not a person that's into the grandiose favors. Like, if I ask you to do something as simple as get me the bread out of the pantry so I can make my PB&J, don't go out of your way to now make me the PB&J, because chances are you're not going to do it how I wanted to. Now I'm trapped into, oh my God, I have to eat this PB&J because you. So it's even something as simple as that. Just do it your ass and you become more useful. You become more valuable to a person like me in particular, but to a person that's like me. Like similar, not just me, because like I said, I've done both, and the other part of it, being on the other side, hardly ever works out. I was actually just watching a video on this that I'll probably attach to this at some point. I'm still learning how to do stuff like that. But all in all, you cannot use that as leverage to expect the other person to match that. That goes with the people, that goes with your jobs, because a lot of times, how many times do we go above and beyond? Then we go ask for that raise or ask for that promotion, and we weren't even in on their radar to do that. They thought that we were just doing it because we love the company so much. Bitch, no. So, be honest with yourself. Be honest with the the other dynamic in this relationship, again, whether it's professional, personal, whatever it is, about your expectations and the reciprocation, whatever that may be. And yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up, folks. Again, like I've said before, please comment, like, subscribe, something that shows that there's some type of interest or connection, because it's weird to just talk to myself just for the hell of talking to myself. I'm, wanting to connect, inspire, be inspired, learn. We come on here to be informed. I'm not saying that I'm here dropping statistics or whatever, but I'm definitely here speaking from personal and first hand, not second and third hand. So, what do you think? Have you found yourself being on the receiving end or on the giving end? What was that like for you? How did that turn out? What type of setting was it in? Was it, siblings? Is it personal? Is it work, professional, romantic, friendships? There's so many different ways that you can overextend yourself or be allowing a person to do the most in your life, and which is really getting in your way. So yeah, just kind of drop a comment, hit the like, maybe hit the thumbs down. Ooh, God, if you don't like it, I would hate for that to be the case. But again, this is a platform that it has to be open and honest, and that's the only way that you're really going to um, get yourself in the mix that you want to be in. So yeah, talk to me, connect.